From now on. Get it right.
Yes.
From now on. Yeah. And we will come back home. And we will come back home. Such a banger, especially in this Mormon belt that we live in.
Oh my gosh.
1, 2, 3, go!
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the To Be Read podcast. I'm Vanessa.
And I'm Julie. And on today's episode, we're going to talk all about the full reading experience. And I'm very excited about it.
What a concept, because I feel like most people buy a book and read it. When essentially, if you're in the book community, there is a process. And if you don't do it in the exact way that works for you, it can make or break books. It can make or break how people see your books. Like from an author's point of view, you want your reader to have the most enjoyable experience. So a lot rides on this individual experience.
I don't think I realized like the impact of it all until I was writing notes, and I was like, wow, Julie, you got a process. You've got a way of doing things, and you're very set in that, and you really have it like streamlined.
With the amount of reading we both do, I should hope that we have a streamlined process, whereas people who are just getting into reading, like I fear that people who aren't into reading just have a terrible process, and that's why they don't enjoy it. They're reading when there's outside factors trying to gain their attention, or they're too busy, or like the time of life doesn't allow their brain to wrap around what they're reading. And I just feel bad because there's some books that I read and it's not the book that was bad. It was like my experience reading it was bad. So I don't even rate those sometimes because I'm like, this was a me problem.
Like trying
this
to
wasn't
think about,
a book problem.
Trying to think about like a book I had a bad experience with, and like it always just goes back to like high school or whatever, you know, when you're just like forced to read a book that you didn't want to read. But I do find myself observing like my friends' habits and just like talk to them about how they find a book. And it's just like, oh, I went to the library and I just saw this and I grabbed it. And I'm just like, what is that like? There's so much research that goes into like what I'm going to read and where it's going to fit and how I feel about it. So it's kind of cool to think about how we all have like, we all find things in different ways and we all find inspiration in different places. So let's talk about the way that we like to do things and how that looks for us and how we create our lists, how we choose the book, the environment that we like to read in, the setting, the ambiance that we aim for.
The vibes.
And then we're going to top it off with our new ranking systems that we have created.
So literally from start to finish.
From the start of reading a book to the end of it, when we rate it, this is the process. So
you jump in.
You want me to start today?
You start.
Okay.
Because I started last time.
So it all starts with the list. I have a couple different lists because I'm awesome like that. Because
I'm awesome.
Anyways, I have a physical TBR, what I call my ever-growing list, and then a short list. So obviously my physical TBR is what is the physical books that I own sitting on a shelf in my home. And I really try to be intentional with what I buy so that I don't feel overwhelmed or I'm not just like spending money frivolously. So I really try to only buy books that I've read, but of course, you know, some slip into my hands and I bring them home. But right now,
that's the beauty of a trophy book right there.
Oh,
you buy it
after you read it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's one of my favorite things. But as of right now, I have 22 books on my physical TBR.
That's actually not as much as I would have thought.
I have crossed off 4. So I had 26. Now I have 22.
Yay.
So I have the physical TBR. Then I have what's called the ever-growing list. And this is like my TBR, my big list. But I'm very precise with it because I used to just like add books on Goodreads all the time. And then all of a sudden I looked and it's like, you have an 800 book list. And I'm like, there's no way I can read all of those. So one of my favorite ways to find books is by going to the bookstore and just looking around. And I take pictures of ones I'm interested in. And then I come home and I look through my pictures and I research them. And I most often just go to Goodreads. And because I'm what's the word I'm looking for? Because
I'm the
a
problem. It's me.
snob, most books don't make it on the list unless they have like a 3.96 or higher.
Okay.
Which is kind of ironic because like some of my god tier books are not ranked over 4. But those are ones that you just kind of like stumble upon, right? If a book passes all my tests, extra points if it was recommended by a friend or a sibling or something, it goes on my list. Right now I have 41 books on my ever-growing list. I think I've read 6 on that list so
I'm
far
actually
this year.
surprised you have a count. I think I'm too scared to count the books on my...
The curiosity just gets me. I'm like, how many are actually on here? And is it possible for me to accomplish that? So that's how I've refined things. Now, because I'm even more anal, I have a short list that I keep on my phone. So I sound crazy.
The theme of tonight's episode. Julie's crazy.
I sound insane. Okay, on my phone I have a short list where I take from physical TBR and my ever-growing list and keep a list on the notes app in my phone of like, these are ones that I potentially want to read within like the next month. And that's all genres, but it's like, you know, what's really pulling my attention? What do I want to have conversations about? What do I want to learn something in particular, kind of a thing. So right now I usually have about 8. I usually cross like 3 off a month. So there are my anal retentive lists because I'm a psycho.
I will say you do a lot more research in the beginning phases than I do.
Yeah, there's just so much out there and I just want to figure out what it is I'm going to read.
I find that I don't enjoy the experience when I do stuff like that because it's really easy to be like overwhelmed in the book space because
1,000%.
there are tons and tons of books out there. There's no ending of good books, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And to pick whatever one is next is like really kind of daunting if you overthink it. There was just always something else on the horizon. So if I think about it too hard, I find that I get overwhelmed. So my reading journey starts when it's very similar to how you start, where I'll be in a library or a bookstore. I'll read the description, and if I resonate with it, I add it either to like an Amazon Kindle list that I've got like a saved list, or I'll download it to my Kindle, or I'll pick it up from the library or something like that. Now, I find a lot of recs not only at bookstores, but like through social media or websites like Top Lists. I know Barnes & Noble has their own, and so does New York Times and like all those places. So I tend to see kind of what is trending around as well. Or possibly even NetGalley. I found a bunch of good stuff on NetGalley that I probably wouldn't have grabbed otherwise, but it just happened to work out that way. So I'll read through the description. If I like it, I get it. I'll add it. I want it. I got it. I like it. I want it. I don't know the words, but it's like that kind of vibe, you know? I just pick up whatever. And it used to be that I would go down to like the oldest book in my Kindle, because I'm primarily an e-reader. I would go to the oldest book in my Kindle. I'd read that. If it was a series, I would often read them all together, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But that's how I would pick. Now it's a little bit more of like a mood, like what am I in the mood for next? And sometimes it's the oldest book and sometimes it's the newest book. And I will say that there are probably like an unofficial list in my head of things that I wanted to get to sooner than later. So a very similar process to yours, but maybe less official.
Yeah, it's not all written in a Google Doc.
Yeah, but I admire the dedication to the craft.
Thank you. I think I also introduced that as a way to help me manage like the overexposure and all of like read this, read this. Like because of the age that we live in, like I would have a list of 1 million books at this point if I like listened to all the videos.
Yep.
And I think I really struggled with that last summer when I was just like, what am I doing? Like I want to read what I want to read. So I really need to pare that down and just be happy with it, because I'm always going to be a genre hopper. I'm always going to be jumping around. And I just had to reckon with that. And I think building my own lists and just being like, oh, it doesn't have to come off the list, but like I think I'm proud of, and I stick to that because it's mine. Like I created this list. I curated this for me. Like this is the only thing out there that's curated towards what I like to read and what I I don't know, what I want in the book world. So
Yeah.
I just try to take that control back because I was like, I'm getting so many ideas and I'm never going to be able to read everything. And I keep reading these books that I don't like. And it just kind of became this whole thing.
Yeah, that's the hard part about taking recs from other people. If you don't quite know exactly what their tastes are, or if you're just kind of getting information from the general mass, like, oh, everyone says this book is good. Not all of them are. Or at least not all of them are according to your taste. So it's kind of hard to define that. And that brings me to a point that I absolutely loathe. I know I've gone into this before, but I hate the fact that we market books with tropes. Like the fact that tropes are there, like it's very formulaic. Like it is what it is, right? They're there. However, I hate when books are marketed that way. And actually that is the number one, like, that's how I can tell if you're an indie author, is if an author markets their book that way. Now, like if you're a book talker, bookstagram, or whatever, I don't necessarily, I really don't like it when people do that, because what they are is just spoilers.
It's a spoiler.
It's a spoiler. Now, I've never been like, I really want an enemies to lovers book. Let me go see what I've got. I look for good books, and if they have those components, great.
Well, I have definitely searched my way for a brother's best friend book before. But sometimes they're just like that. And if I'm looking for that thing, I'll find it.
Yeah.
But like when it comes to generally what I want to read, I don't want to know the tropes, especially when you get into, it's not necessarily like enemies to lovers or friends to lovers or second chance. Like that stuff doesn't bother me. It's the one bedroom, forced proximity, marriage, found family, marriage of inconvenience, like those little things that I'm like, wait, but like those are important moments in the way that these characters develop and the way their relationship grows. Like, I don't think I should be knowing that yet.
Well, if you think about like Penguin Publishing or like big publishers, they never market themselves that way, right? It's here's this awesome book, and then other people market it that way. And I don't think that's fair to the book authors, because what it does is it creates expectations. And when it doesn't meet expectations in the way that you think it should, or because you romanticize these expectations, you hear forced proximity, you hear enemies to lover or one bed or one horse, and you have something in your mind.
One horse.
Have you not heard that one?
No, I haven't heard it, but I've read it multiple times recently.
You know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
it's like we have to share a horse.
And it's like, yes.
Yeah, because there's always fondling.
Okay, not the fondling.
Well, no, that's what it is. That's
it's
like.
more of like a touch or
forced
like
proximity. Is really what it is.
It's not. They're not like they're jugs. Like.
Well, I didn't mean that per se, but I have read books where they're fondling. They're fondling.
They've had sex on a horse?
Not sex. They're fondling. They're touching.
Like
hand goes
hands in pants fondling.
Yeah. Maybe not in pants, but over pants.
Okay. I just hate the word fondling. I think.
See, that's a nicer word.
Because to me, it just sounds like
okay. That's not fondling. That's like bouncing. That's playing. I don't know.
Fondling sounds playful. Sorry, this is gonna have to be cut out.
This isn't that kind of an episode.
I love a one horse moment though.
If we only judged books off of how they were marketed, I fear that we have picked up books that we shouldn't have, and we have ignored books that we should have read.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So we have to do our own critical thinking there, and either reading the back or finding whatever process works for you, and thinking about if you'll like it, and not just pick up a book because other people tell you to, or because USA Today tells you to, or whatnot. Figure out if you're gonna like it from the get-go. And I'm gonna go into my rating system later, and I find that has helped me navigate those conversations.
Yes, me too, because I've ultimately found that what I'm looking for in a book is good writing. I'm looking for descriptions and feelings and emotions that come out through the writing. That's ultimately what I'm looking for.
Yeah. And while I enjoy good writing, like that's probably number 2 for me, I enjoy a great plot. I'm very much more plot driven. So we differ even.
Yeah.
And so there are things that I liked that you didn't, vice versa. And it's all about what you enjoy. It's not about how smart are you and can you understand this premise? It's what do you enjoy about reading?
Yeah.
And then let's choose things that are more in line with what you like.
And what's the purpose?
Yeah.
Like that's why all the books on my short list are so different, because I mean, it kind of goes based off my mood, but like, am I wanting to have conversations about something? Like, I just recently read a book called One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This by Omar El-Akkad, which is a story about Western civilization and the way that it has become this empire that suppresses people all over the world. And it talks about Palestine and talks about immigrants in the United States and just the oppression, and how like one day when we're no longer focused on having power, like we will have always known that this was bad. And like that was just a random
fiction?
No, this is nonfiction.
Okay.
Like
I was like, oh.
This author, Omar El-Akkad, shared his story of immigrating over from Egypt. He went from Egypt to Qatar to Canada to the United States. So, I mean, he has this wide range of experience, and I was just in the mood for something like that. And it led to great conversations with my parents. Like, they're both reading my copy that I lent to them. And, sometimes I just need a little nonfiction thrown in there.
You do need that more than I do.
Yep.
But you read to learn things, I believe. I read to escape things.
But also his writing was insanely good. Like sometimes those nonfiction writers who are journalists, like,
oh yeah,
they can evoke so much emotion in their writing. And that's something that he did so well.
And that's what I was talking about in our last episode, about there are authors who write a story, and then there's authors who tell a story through their writing.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I find that most of like the popular reads, like Project Hail Mary, or like a lot of these big ones are things that I still like because they've gotten big for other reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're never my favorites, but I at least enjoy them. So right now I'm listening to Project Hail Mary because I'm getting ready for the movie, and I'm really excited for that. So sometimes I pick things based off of cultural events that are happening.
Yeah.
Like the I read the first Bridgerton right before season 3 came out. Bridgerton's not for me, but it makes me want to read it. The show made me want to read it.
Yeah.
I might actually try another one.
Let's get into like our setting the vibe, like what reading looks like for us on a daily basis. Let's go with the realistic, and then we'll go with the ideal.
Okay. Realistic, I read between the hours of 9 or 10 to midnight. I only have 2 hours to read. And even then I get distracted and I'll go doom scroll for a while. Depends on how invested I am in a book. But it has to be a dark room, and I have to read at night. And I very rarely read during the day, as far as like physically or e-reader wise, because I tend to get pulled away with real life. Like I'm like, oh, I got to go do the laundry. Oh, I need to go pick up my daughter from daycare. Oh, I got to do this. I got to do that. Like that is more prevalent when there's daylight. So for me, if I want to escape and fully immerse into a world, it's got to be a dark room with like dark covers and like
put her in her enclosure.
Yeah.
Let her read. That's my favorite detail that you shared. Like, it has to be a dark room.
Yeah.
I get it. Like the vibe has to be there.
Well, even sometimes with the lamp on, I can't do it very well. Like,
is it just because the light shows you all the other things in the world? Like
maybe. It really is like blinders. It's like focus, 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 focus up. So that is my ideal. What ends up happening realistically, a friend of mine, a great friend, 3D printed me like this stand that I can put my phone to, like, because it's magnetic, and I tilt it on its side and I read.
I love
like that. And then I have a remote, and I just
the remote for me though is like an immediate fall asleep.
Actually, I have that written down as like I tend to fall asleep more when I use a remote.
Immediately.
So
I do love the remote when I'm sitting like on my couch with my knees up.
Okay.
And I put the book on my knees, and then I can just like be like this.
Yes. There are some times where I actually have like a Kindle pillow, like stand.
Yeah, because you gave me one.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yes. Because
you want a different color.
Because I wanted a different color. So it's the same one, and I will use my remote then but that's usually if I'm on either my Kindle or my iPad. I have a lot of e-readers, so I actually don't tend to use my Kindle as much as I use my iPad. I love an iPad during buddy reads, because you could just text
so
back
great.
and forth,
Yeah.
right? There's dual windows. That's like elite. And then I recently got a Books Palma that I love. Like the battery life lasts for like months. I love it. The only drawback, well, there's a couple drawbacks, is there's not a great way, because it's got a button right where your thumb is, but it doesn't turn the page, which is so annoying. And I'm like, come on, let's fix this. And then the ghosting on it can be bad, but It's an e-reader. It's an e-ink thing.
I did enjoy the Palma, though I'm so used to my Kindle and like my hand strap and everything.
Mm-hmm. But I like, because I actually read on my phone mostly.
Which is insane to me.
Well, it's because I like to read, like, I put it clear up to my face.
Just like shove it into your brain.
Basically, like, get in there. So, yeah. So that's like the realistic thing. I will occasionally do a fireplace on the TV. Like,
Vibe.
Something about like that, especially when you're reading fantasy, because there are like YouTube videos that's like fantasy fireplace.
Oh, yeah.
And
We've
it's
totally
like
done
The Witcher.
That. Yeah.
But if it has any sort of music to it, I cannot, like, if it's any outside stimulations, I can't even read if there's earplugs in my, because sometimes my husband snores, and so I'll put my AirPods in my ears to just block out that sound, but I can't do it even if it's not playing anything. Like, it's just another stimulant. I can't.
We are not the same.
No, we are not.
And
the
it's
same.
beautiful, but like
and neither is worse than the other.
No, it's just,
or they're both equally bad.
It's just what works for us.
Yeah.
But like, I'm a read any chance I can type of girl, sometimes obnoxiously so, and I will totally admit that and own up to it. Sometimes you'll catch me at like 3 a.m. because I got woken up by a kid, or like I had to take my dog out or something, and I laid back in bed and I'm like, I'm awake, and then I'll read a little bit. But I try to find like a good chunk in the morning to read a little bit. I just said a little bit, a lot. That's
a lot of it.
A lot of it. But I enjoy reading when I'm eating breakfast. I do a lot of Kindle reading, mostly Kindle. I usually will have a copy of whatever I'm reading on my Kindle. I've done a few physical books. This year I've done a couple audio. There was one book where I did all three. I had the physical, the Kindle, and the audio for it. And just depending on what I was doing, I just bounced.
Well, that's the
around.
elite experience, is like being able to bounce. But like, do you remember, I don't know if they still do this because I don't buy DVDs anymore, but like when you bought the physical DVD, it came with like a code that you could download.
That's what needs to happen.
That's what needs to happen, because
I'm
sick and tired of paying $60 for one book, because you pay $30 for a book. And then you pay maybe not $30 for an ebook, but like, come on, guys.
But I kind of have this feeling that most people aren't like us. Most people don't have.
I don't know. Have you seen the book world outside?
Yeah, but like,
what it's like out there.
The average layman, let's be real.
Maybe. So why would it be all that bad to give out digital?
No, I don't think it would be bad. I don't think it would be bad at all. But anyway. I'll read in the morning. I usually get a good chunk in the afternoon before school pickup. I will always leave my house earlier than I need to for school pickup so that I can sit in my car and read for like 15 minutes. And then until like bedtime, there's no reading usually, unless I'm like so into my book and my kids are into other things. But there's usually too many interruptions at that time of day. Okay, regardless of what my evenings look like though, when I get into bed, Kindle's always in hand, and every night I fall asleep reading. Every single night. And the best nights are when I wake up in the morning and my Kindle's like,
it's like plastered on your face.
Snuggled up next to me. Yeah, Jake's like, wait, weren't you just reading? And I'm like, yeah, but I have to read to fall asleep. I don't have to read to fall asleep. I could easily fall asleep without it because I sleep like a brick. But I just love reading.
Because I did most of January, dry January, besides like the first week, like 3 weeks of dry January.
Dry January meaning she didn't read. She was also alcohol free.
It's like Lent, really. I gave up reading for 3 weeks. But when I did that, it was kind of weird to see how much it was like ingrained in the world that I have made for myself. And it's like, oh, you can't fall asleep? Read. So I had to just fall asleep. Actually, there was probably an uptick in melatonin that month. Like, I can't sleep. I need something to help me fall asleep. So.
Oh, I was going to say my ideal reading environment, though, is like a lowly lit room, cozy blanket, me, my dog, my Kindle, or a physical book. But I lost my book light. And so reading physical books at night isn't as fun because then I have to have a big light on, which big lights after 6 p.m. are just no fun, you know?
Yeah.
But mostly Kindle reader. I do enjoy music if I'm by myself, mostly because I have chronic tinnitus. And so there's always like a ringing in my ears. So I have to have something that's going to take out that noise, in case you wanted to know that little fun fact about me. I do have 2 really great playlists on Spotify, though, that I will turn on. Or I have this app called Brainwaves that plays like different sound wave noises, like brown noise, things like that are supposed to like help you with specific things. And there is one that's called nighttime reading. So I'll use that sometimes.
Oh, It's cute.
I have so many random tidbits of stupid information for this episode. I'm such a nerd.
I love it.
What do you do when you have reached the end of the book? I do have to say that the first 20% of any book is so hard. It's like when you're running like you're going running in like that first mile, you're like, do I even like this? I feel that way. I feel that way in like the first 20% of every book I read. Like rarely am I like, yeah, we're going from the start. It's like, I hate setup.
So I think it all depends on why you read a book, because I love the plot and the world building. Like those are very important to me. So those slower parts are what I love. And maybe that's why I stick to fantasy, because it doesn't bother me. But like
sometimes it's just getting to know people's names. And I'm just like, okay,
yeah. Oh, nothing is worse than taking some time between a series and you come back to the second book and you're like, who are these people? Yeah. And actually, that's why I have a whole note. Like, if I have a series or if I start book one and I like it, it doesn't matter what else I had planned next. Everything. I have to read the series. Otherwise, it really just is not as impactful. And so that's one of my goals this year, is to try to read like unfinished series less and that's to fair. Read finished series.
That's why I was so mad when I found out Daggermouth was a part of a duology.
I actually thought it was a standalone too, so I understand that.
I wish I had that ability with series. The only series that I've done that, and I didn't even complete ACOTAR my first time through because I didn't read Silver Flames.
Well, that was weird because it's almost like, much like Red Rising, it's kind of got a natural trilogy and then it goes into an extended story.
Yes, but I didn't do that with Red Rising. Besides Golden Sun and Morningstar, I read those together, but I read the next three. There were books in between. Throne of Glass is really the only one, and Magnolia Parks. But typically I spread them out. Like, it's funny because this morning I was like, okay, the next Fate of Wrath and Flame book I want to read. Let's try to remember the storyline.
Yeah. Well, one of the Kindle's best inventions was the recap this series.
Yes. Okay. I need to use that.
Yeah. Sure. I actually used it with the book series I'll talk about.
But when you reach the end of a book, what do you do? Like, what's your process?
Okay. So I like to judge series. So I will usually, maybe I'll rate the book kind of on Goodreads. I do kind of still do the star rating system if I rate it on Goodreads or Fable or something like that, because I find it appropriate, because that's what those platforms are based off of, are star ratings. But I don't love the idea of star ratings for marketing purposes. So going out and being like, this was a 5-star read for me, and this, because it doesn't give justice to the author. And I'll kind of go into that in a minute. But so I'll kind of do like an initial like, oh, I love this, I want to keep going. And so I'll keep going with the series, because I do read primarily series. And then hopefully I'll finish it, and then I will sit with it for a day at least. And I have to think about some specific plot points. And now I've trained my brain to think about my rating system, or my review system, I guess, and how that pulls into play with it. But sometimes I feel like I rate books better because they had some sort of a cliffhanger that at the end of the book I was like, what did I just read? However, the rest of the book was only like subpar. So I have to usually sit with it and be like, okay, what do I really think about this? Was it just the shock factor of it all? Metal Slinger is one that I think is overhyped for that reason, because it has such a crazy ending that you don't see coming. And then you're like, what? I want the next one. What? I need to know what happens. And people automatically rate it. It's almost like a tool to be used versus a plot point.
Ooh.
It's a tool for marketing, for sales. And that feels disingenuous.
I love a book that's a part of a series, even if it's like the first book, that can stand on its own. Of like, you could put the book down and not pick up the next one and still feel satisfied with that arc. Because you have your main, like you have your giant arc of the whole series, but then each individual book should have its own complete arc. And I'm really tired of books ending like, but there's no come down. Mm-hmm. I really kind of struggle with that. But from a marketing standpoint, it does make sense. But it does feel like
sales oriented.
Yeah, it just kind of feels dirty and wrong.
Maybe that's the point. It's supposed to feel dirty. I understand why people do it. I just don't love it. Like I do like a come down, if you will, like that last 10% or whatever. It seems like there are times where I read a book and I'm like, okay, well, I know that the climax is going to happen, but we're like 92% in. Like, so I almost know, maybe it's because we've read so much and we can kind of predict these things because we've ingested so many stories. I don't know. Maybe that's an effect of overconsumption. But, so, I don't know. I tend to take a minute to sit with my thoughts and then I will go in and review it. And when I started getting arcs is actually when I started thinking maybe I should start reviewing books differently, because they do ask about a star rating, but they ask for notes and they ask for what did you think about this? So that's kind of how my book review system started, is the things that I wanted to touch base on in arc reviews. And then I kind of just brought them into my Goodreads reviews or my Fable reviews.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So when I finish a book, I like jump on immediately to like Storygraph or Goodreads and like check, finish the book. So pleased.
It's like that Friends episode.
And I
check.
And I fill out my Excel spreadsheet that I created. But I have started book journaling this year. So I have quotes and stuff that I write down. And I have told myself, like, before I write a review on Goodreads or Storygraph, I have to go into my book journal and I have to write out the remaining quotes that I didn't write down yet that I've highlighted throughout the book. And I have to write my own thoughts. I'm just like, I liked this plot point and I really liked this. And this really came together. This didn't make a lot of sense, but just like get it down on paper. And then I've been trying to wait until the next day to review it so that I can really form thoughts and like marinate with it a little bit more, which is like my own challenge to myself of like, don't go write a review immediately, because normally there's like a high of like, oh, I really like that. And the next day I'm like, did I like that though? You know, kind of a thing. So that's what it looks like for me.
I think we were both not thrilled with the dopamine high you get at the end of the book.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you sit with it for a couple, because sometimes I know that you've done this, I would go and like edit a review and be like, actually, I'm going to take this back, or I'm going to add this, or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So
another thing I've introduced to help myself slow down, because I love to jump into the next thing. But sometimes that's like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to jump into the next thing. I don't feel like something's jumping out to me, or I don't feel like I can make the choice right now. I've introduced what I call the tweener book, which is because I like to read before I fall asleep. Part of that is because I have a streak going of like, I think I've done it like every night for 3 years at this point. I have read before I fall asleep. I'm psycho. Anyways, the tweener book is, I just pick it up and read it when I'm in between books. Right now it's a fan fiction. Like, it's just not high stakes. Like, I'm not going to be worrying about forgetting plot points or whatever. It's just there for when I need to pick it up.
they're fun.
Or I'll go back and just like reread favorite parts of a book or something.
I cannot do that. That's weird to me. You're like, I'm just going to read from here on. And I'm like, nope.
Just parts.
No. The only exception to these roles are buddy reads. And those are top tier elite, where you've got, like, you're reading a book and like you're constantly texting someone, like, what just happened? Or you're sending each other quotes. Like, that would be the only disruptor into my process of like, I might read during the day, or I might read like against my own natural habits just to like have that experience, because I find that I don't know if it gives you like a dopamine high, or you just have someone to really.
It's just the camaraderie of it.
Yeah.
Let's go into our review systems. So we finish a book, we try to marinate with it, we try to slow down. What does the review system look like?
Okay. This is going to be quite detailed. My review system.
Get ready.
I have to like get into
Strap in.
Strap is a word that I hate. Which, like, fondling is one that you hate.
After I said it, I was just like,
strap in.
He hates this.
Okay. So my book rating system is almost more of almost like a dating profile. It's like, here's what it is, and do you align with those things? So it's a little similar to the Myers-Briggs test, where there's acronyms, and it's like, this book was an ENFJ. Do you like those books? This book might be for you. And so that's where this whole idea came from. So I have 5 categories, and in each category there's 2 things it could steer towards. Now, there are, in a perfect world, they would have both of those things and they would meet in the middle, but most of the time they steer one way or another. So my first point is plot. And actually, I know in the last episode we kind of went over it briefly,
yes,
but I have tweaked it since then even.
Okay.
So
beautiful.
This is like my most
This is the This is the in-depth rating system of Vanessa Godfrey.
As it is right now.
Yes.
I reserve the right to adjust.
Yes.
Because it's not
as we all do as human beings.
Yes. So the first one is plot. And is it fast-paced or is it a slow burn? So a fast-paced example would be Mistborn, Fourth Wing, Red Rising, Shadow of the Gods. You're in it for the plot. That's its main goal, is plot focused. The S, which is slow burn or emotional, where it's more of a journey. There's still a plot there, but it's definitely more character driven, it's like a ride. So you're not rushing to the finish. There's not X, Y, and Z to do. I mean, there is unofficially, but it's way more focused on emotions and the journey.
So like a lit fic would probably fit under there. Like a literary fiction that's more like
probably. And
what's happening to this person.
I will preface this with I read mainly fantasy, so this fits in the fantasy
space the best.
It will not fit for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, it might for sci-fi, but I don't know if it would really work in a lit fic space. And here's why. Because the next plot point or the next point would be premise, which is world building. Okay. And it's vast worlds, which is like fully imagined, detailed, expansive, unique.
Okay.
Or familiar settings. And vast worlds would be Mistborn, ACOTAR, Fourth Wing, When the Moon Hatched, One Dark Window, like completely new to us.
Oh,
like
I really like that. Okay.
And then, which reads a little bit more high fantasy, by the way. Familiar settings would be real world with magic. So
like an urban fantasy.
An urban fantasy tends to skew that way. Crescent City was one that I had. A Study in Drowning. Crimson Moth might even be a little in between, but it is a familiar setting.
Yeah.
Jade City?
Yep, for sure.
Shadow of the Gods. Now that's a high fantasy, but it is based off of a like kind of Norse mythology. Yeah. And so I put it in that category because it is familiar.
Yes.
So
okay. I like
so
that.
There's V or M. So we have plot, F, S. Premise, V or M.
I love this so much because it's going to make mine just look like a joke.
Whatever. Okay, then we have prose, which is, and I actually think about you a lot when I analyze prose because you are very literary.
This is something that I put on my own Excel sheet. Is something that I look at is what is the prose?
What is the prose, right?
Yeah.
So I've got casual, which is straightforward and easy to read, or is it literary with this rich, intricate, elevated purple prose? So examples of this. And you're going to laugh. Zodiac Academy, right? It's honestly anything that says swear words in it quite often, right?
Because those can really pull you out.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
And like Fourth Wing, like anything with common language. Or like I've even read some books where I'm like, why are we using like Listen Linda or you know, like
Babe or...
Yeah. Where you're using like modern language. Yeah. Unless it's an urban fantasy, it doesn't read well. Anyway.
Yeah,
and then literary, rich, intricate. Don't Let the Forest In, A Study in Drowning, Red Rising gets, I want to say that's a little in between, but that steers a little bit more literary.
Something that crescendos. Yeah, for sure.
And I feel like in his later books, so maybe more in Golden Sun and Morning Star, it gets
But then you get into,
it's a little bit more descriptive. Flowery. A Feather So Black is like that as well. Plot, premise, prose, and prose with C and L. Then there's presentation, which is whimsical, hopeful, magical, uplifting, or gritty, dark, intense, morally complex. So whimsical was Harry Potter, Caravel, Trust of the Emerald Sea, Stardust, like something very light.
Floaty.
Yeah. And I will say some things, I don't often read whimsical things. I tend to steer in the middle of that or gritty.
Or gritty. Okay.
And gritty is dark, intense, morally complex. So like Bones, alchemized or manacled, like darker themed books that are a little depressive. What does that say about me?
I also have it.
Yay me. Okay, so that was W or G, and then personal purpose, which is basically character development. Is it an internal journey or an external purpose? So internal journey is heavy focus on the character growth, identity, emotional transformation. An example of this is Assassin's Apprentice, Spark of the Everflame, Bones.
Okay.
I would even say ACOTAR fits into this space.
For sure. Feyre's really trying to figure out herself and like come into her own. And all of that.
Yeah. And then external purpose is character growth exists, but the focus is on the mission, the war, the external goals. Red Rising, Mistborn, Throne of Glass.
For sure.
Air Awakens, Hunger Games. Like, and I'm just saying kind of more popularized books here. So you're going to get a book and I'm going to say it's SVCWI, which is a mouthful. But if you're like sitting there typing out your notes.
Yes.
And like you just think about all those plot points, it makes it really simple. Like it kind of breaks it down in a way like, yes, how was this? How was this aspect of it?
Honestly, a review like that is more helpful than someone being like, oh my gosh, I love this book, you know? But like the keyboard warriors, like, I will never recover. This is amazing. Like, but if I read a review that's like, this is more character driven and it is more whimsical and it's more literary and it's writing, it's like, okay, I'm in the mood for that. I want to read that.
Right. So whenever I do reviews from now on, and I will like also say yes or no. Like, would I read it again? Yes. Or do I like it? Yes. Would I not pick it up again? No. So I would give all of that information and I say, will I read it again? Yes or no. So that's kind of what I close off with, like, yeah or nah. So it's very much like your yeah or nah, pass or fail. Whenever I rate books from now on, I will give an explanation of where I feel like that fits on the scale and if I would read it again or not. And that's how I've been reviewing books.
So how does that impact a star rating? Is your star rating more about your personal enjoyment or do those measurements have anything to do with your star rating?
I'm still in the phase where I'm trying to find that out, but I feel like what that does is that helps me analyze the star rating system. So each one of those is 5 points. And so if I feel like they excelled in those areas, now you can have casual writing and still excel in that area. You know what I mean? So I still do star ratings from the heart, but I almost rarely do star ratings, you know, like I usually just
put it there that you read it and then write your review.
Yeah.
So my ranking system is personal. Like you're not going to see it posted on my reviews or anything like that because I mostly have my new review system for my personal Excel sheet. My reviews that I write on Goodreads or Storygraph are just very much, they're just like more descriptive. They're going to include like the prose was like this and the journey, like I really liked the world and the pacing was like this. Those are more the things that I'm going to focus on. But my rating system has just become more personal of like, when I go back and look at the records of what I read, it's easy for me to pick out the things that I liked. Because the problem that I was running up against last year is that I read 130 books last year. And there were only 9 of those that I ranked 3 stars or lower. So I have a pretty fine-tuned process of picking out books that I'm going to enjoy.
What's your average?
Over 4.
Over 4 stars? My average is 3.9.
So like when I look at Storygraph, because it gives me the average, it's like your average rating's 4.2. And I'm just like, what's the point of me rating books when I really enjoy most of what I read?
Yeah.
So my reviews are just written. I only give stars for like my infinity, but I'll go through what my personal rating system is because there's some examples. So the lowest tier is not going to read it again, but this book was not it. I didn't really enjoy it. I'm happy to move on. Prime examples are Keeping 13 by Chloe Walsh in the Boys of Tommen series because the internet beguiled me to and I did partake and it was just not it. The other one for me in the nah category is Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey, which so many people love and adore, but that was just like the worst drug trip I've ever been on that I never want to go on again. And I just don't think some people should be given book deals. And Matthew McConaughey was one of those.
That's a hot take.
Okay. The next tier is Pretty Good. And this is kind of a complex tier because pretty good means it was good. Like I enjoyed it, but either there's 2 things. There wasn't like a lot to it. Like maybe a lot of romances will fit into this. It was either not complex or it was like so overly complex that it kind of hurt my brain.
Okay.
And it maybe impacted the enjoyment of it a little bit. But there is still enjoyment there, and often I will be continuing the series. Like if it's a romance author, I'll probably read their books again. If it was a series, I'll probably continue. So it's kind of a complex, but my best example is Jade City by Fonda Lee. That book is like insanely dense. The pacing is slow, but I liked what was set up and I'm intrigued by it. So I will continue. But it wasn't like, I wasn't chomping at the bit to read it.
Okay.
Another example is Amanda Chaperone. She writes a lot of romantic suspense. I've been arc reading for her. She writes the Dusk Valley series, and there's 3 books out. I've read all of them. I've enjoyed all of them.
What's the Dusk Valley series?
It's just a romantic suspense series.
Okay. Nothing I would maybe recognize off the top of my head.
No.
As an avid
let's see. There's Firefight, Warning Shot. I can't remember what the other one is called, but like I enjoy romantic suspense. It's like the epitome of a potato chip read. Like
nice.
Part of a balanced diet, and I enjoy it. After that, we have Loved. Like this is a great time. I really enjoyed it. Loved it. I was happy with it all the way through. A Fate of Wrath and Flame by K.A. Tucker. Red City by Marie Lu. We Are Legion, We Are Bob by Dennis E. Taylor. Like great books. We'll continue the series. Had a great time. The next tier is a million. And these are so good that I will most likely be purchasing a copy of them to put on my shelf. I only try to buy and own books that I love. And I will often go back through my shelves and be like, I shouldn't have bought this one.
Marie Kondo it. Does this
still spark joy? And then I show up at the used bookstore and buy it and buy another book with the credits that I get from selling books. Okay. But these, like, they blew me away. They hit me in the feels. They stay with me. They age well. So sometimes I'll read a book and I'll be like, I love that. And then I'll come back and be like, no, like I've been thinking about that book every day since I read it. The perfect example of that is The Poet Empress by Shen Tao. The Poisoned Daughter by Sheila Masterson. Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. And then Bat Eater and Other Names for Corzang by Kylie Lee Baker. Those are my 4 a million ranked books so far this year.
Sword of Kaigen was also maybe one that I would kind of equivalent.
Absolutely.
For me, it's one that I would put in that category because at the time I was still doing stars, it was 4 stars for me, but I like sat with it and I was like, if I'm still thinking about it like a week later, I need to bump it.
No, and it's funny because that one started off as like, I loved it. And then like later on in the year, it became a million.
Yeah.
And then it became an infinity, which for me are reserved for the God tier books.
That's like what other people would count as a 6-star.
Like I will accept no criticisms on. Bury me with these books inscribed on the walls of my heart, my soul, and my bones. Yeah. Like cover my body in tattoos. I will put 5 stars on these books.
That's one
online.
You would tattoo on yourself. That's a good example.
Yes.
Would I tattoo
something from this book on me? 1000%.
Yeah.
So examples of this: the Red Rising series, the Raven Scholar, which I just finished. So good. And then another example, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. Like these are books that live on my God tier shelf in my home. And I'm hesitant to give out those rankings because they're special. And I really just want to have like this exclusive club of books that are...
It's like nobody come at me for those books.
Like,
nobody comment because they're so special.
Yeah, like they're a part of me. Mm-hmm. I will always love them. So that's...
They imprinted.
Yeah, they imprinted. Yeah, they took a part of me with them. That I love them. And so that's my personal rating system. Inside my Excel spreadsheet, I pay attention to pros and those kinds of things. And I will try to make notes of that when I write out my review. But I don't really have anything that equates to like star ratings anymore because I was rating most of my books 4 stars or up because I'm easy to please. But also I'm thorough in my research, obviously.
Yeah, I feel like nowadays you are more careful about what you ingest.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I really do. Try to be more careful because I've had too many moments. I mean, not that many. Obviously, there weren't that many last year. But the ones that I hated, I really hated.
Yeah.
And that sucks because like there's limited time in a year. And there's only so much, that when I waste time, I'm just like, ugh. I mean, it's not wasted time. There are things I glean from them. But it just sucks because it's not good times.
So from conception to execution of the
conception
reviews,
to birth.
That's actually not all that long. That's not
9
conception
months?
to birth. Would it conception to death?
Ooh, yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So from start to finish, from however you want to think about it, the book experience matters so much more than the book, and it can heighten a review or it can decrease a review. A lot of it is how you read the experience. It's not always just reading the book. You have to be in the right time of life. Like, for instance, I've read books that when I was younger, they hit really well. And then I'd reread them and I'd be like, oh, Or I'd reread them and be like, oh, this is even better because there was like things that you picked up you didn't before. So there's quite the experience and you can range within that experience in so many different ways.
I just think what the most important thing to do is to tailor it to you, to figure out what you like to read, why you like to read it, and then just to dive into that and not let, all of the sounds around you have such an impact that you're not reading what you love, because life's too short to not read what you love.
Yes. And with that, I think we'll close out.
Yeah, go read what you love, read, and read some more, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.